Sophia wiped the grease off her hands with an old rag, her fingers still trembling slightly from the cold. The Los Angeles morning air was sharp and brisk, but she didn't mind. For her, every day was another chance to prove herself. She had been working in a small independent mechanic shop for years, hidden behind rows of luxury dealerships and towering corporate offices. Customers often ignored her because of her worn-out overalls and smudged face, but she didn't care. She loved the sound of an engine roaring back to life under her touch. Today felt different, though. As she sipped cheap gas station coffee, a black Rolls-Royce Phantom slowly pulled into the shop's driveway. The vehicle gleamed under the rising sun, casting reflections like a moving mirror. Sophia's heart skipped a beat. She had seen expensive cars before, but a Phantom was in a league of its own. She took a deep breath and set her coffee aside, moving toward the car before it had even stopped fully. A tall, sharply dressed man stepped out. His suit looked like it cost more than her entire year's salary. He wore designer sunglasses and carried himself with a confidence that turned heads. His eyes scanned the shop, clearly unimpressed. Sophia noticed the scowl forming on his lips as he glanced at the cracked floor and the scattered tools. She approached him carefully, feeling the weight of his judgment before he even spoke. Who's in charge here? The man demanded, pulling off his sunglasses with a dramatic flick. Sophia stood her ground and raised her chin. I am, she replied simply. His eyebrows shot up in disbelief. You? A girl? Do you even know what you're doing with a machine like this? He scoffed. Sophia felt her cheeks flush, but she forced a calm smile. I promise, sir, your car is in good hands, she said softly. He shook his head, clearly annoyed but desperate enough to give her a chance. Sophia gestured for him to sit in the waiting area, though she could tell he preferred to hover around and watch her every move. As she opened the hood, she was greeted by the sophisticated engineering of the Phantom, a marvel of luxury and precision. Many mechanics might have hesitated, but Sophia's eyes sparkled with excitement. Every bolt, wire, and circuit spoke to her like an old friend. She ran her fingers gently over the parts, identifying the problem within minutes. She worked in silence, her mind fully focused, her movements smooth and confident. The man, whom she later learned was Mr. Harrison, CEO of one of the largest real estate firms in California, paced around impatiently. Every few minutes, he'd lean in to question her, but she brushed off his comments with polite nods. Soon, other customers gathered outside, their curiosity piqued by the luxury car and the young woman bent over it with such intensity. Sophia ignored the stares, tightening the final bolt with a satisfied click. Mr. Harrison finally stepped closer, peering under the hood with skeptical eyes. Is it done? He asked sharply. Sophia wiped her hands and nodded. Try it, she encouraged him. He slipped into the driver's seat, turned the key, and the engine purred to life, smoother and richer than before. His expression shifted from suspicion to pure awe. The sound echoed around the small garage, and for a moment, even the onlookers stood still, mesmerized by the deep, powerful hum. He stepped out slowly, his hands trembling slightly. I can't believe it, he murmured, walking around the car as if he were seeing it for the first time. Sophia couldn't help but smile. Your car is as good as new, she said softly. Mr. Harrison turned toward her, his eyes now scanning her with a new kind of curiosity and perhaps respect. Who taught you to do this? He finally asked, his voice much softer than before. Sophia shrugged. Mostly myself. And a bit from my dad before he passed away, she replied. Harrison seemed lost in thought, his eyes narrowing as he processed her words. Slowly, he reached into his wallet and pulled out a business card. Listen, he said, holding it out to her. If you ever want a real job, a better life, come see me. You shouldn't waste your talent in a place like this." Sophia looked at the card but didn't take it immediately. Instead, she shook her head gently. "Thank you, but I'm doing exactly what I want," she replied with a soft conviction that caught him off guard. Mr. Harrison looked offended at first, but quickly masked it with a forced smile. He gave her a final nod and slipped into the car, driving off into the bright California morning. Sophia stood at the entrance, watching the Rolls-Royce disappear into the city traffic. She took a deep breath, her chest swelling with pride. As the day went on, the story spread quickly. People who had once doubted her now looked at her with different eyes. The next morning, her small shop was overflowing with curious customers, and journalists eager to learn about the poor girl who fixed the CEO's luxury car. A few days later, Sophia received an unexpected invitation to the grand opening of a new luxury showroom in Beverly Hills. At first, she thought it was a mistake, but curiosity got the better of her. She borrowed a simple dress from her neighbor and tied her hair back neatly. As she stepped into the sparkling hall, she felt entirely out of place among the diamond necklaces and designer suits. Mr. Harrison spotted her almost immediately and made his way through the crowd to greet her. "Sophia, you came," he exclaimed, sounding genuinely surprised. She offered a polite smile, still unsure why she was there. He ushered her forward, leading her through a glass door into a private conference room. There, a few board members sat around a long table, their eyes focused on her. Harrison cleared his throat and began to speak. "Ladies and gentlemen, meet Sophia, the mechanic who saved my Phantom." But what you don't know is, Sophia isn't just a mechanic. She owns the entire company that designed the engine software update you all admired last week. A stunned silence filled the room. Sophia felt her knees weaken slightly. She had always kept her ownership hidden, preferring to work in the background and live simply. Her father had left her a small startup before he died, and Sophia had grown it slowly over the years, licensing her software to top car brands anonymously. She never wanted the spotlight. But now, the truth hung in the air, shimmering like a diamond in the bright conference lights. The board members erupted into applause, and Mr. Harrison turned to her with a warm, genuine smile so different from the condescending stare he had given her in the shop. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked, almost whispering. Sophia laughed softly, wiping a tear from the corner of her eye. "Because I didn't think it mattered," she said. "I wanted to be judged by my work, not my title or money." Harrison looked at her as if seeing her for the first time, truly seeing her. In the following days, Sophia's life changed dramatically. Her story appeared in newspapers and online articles, celebrated as a modern Cinderella tale, the poor girl who secretly owned a tech empire. Companies lined up to partner with her, investors called endlessly, and young girls across America saw her as an icon of independence and strength. Yet, Sophia stayed grounded, continuing to work in her garage on weekends, still wiping grease off her hands with the same old rag. She hired more young women, trained them, and turned her humble workshop into a mentorship hub. She believed in giving chances to those who, like her, were often underestimated. Her showroom presence and boardroom meetings became part of her life, but she never abandoned her first love, fixing engines, listening to their stories, and bringing them back to life. Mr. Harrison visited her shop often, each time leaving with a new lesson in humility. Eventually, he offered to buy a major stake in her company, but Sophia politely declined. Instead, she agreed to collaborate, sharing her designs under strict conditions that protected her values. Harrison learned to respect her choices and often referred to her as his mentor in business circles, shocking his wealthy peers who were used to seeing him as the teacher. Not the student asterisk. Sophia never forgot her roots. She still drove her old dented pickup truck to work, refused to move into a mansion, and insisted on cooking her own meals. Her simplicity became her trademark, and people admired her not only for her genius but for her heart. Meanwhile, young mechanics would often line up outside her shop just to watch her work, ask for advice. She welcomed them with open arms, always encouraging them to dream beyond society's limitations. Asterisk. As the years went by, Sophia's influence spread beyond California. She opened workshops across the country, each one designed to support underprivileged youth and promote women in engineering. She turned her father's small dream into a nationwide movement, changing countless lives along the way. Looking back, she often thought of the day the Rolls-Royce Phantom first pulled into her shop, the day that changed everything. Asterisk. What began as a simple repair job for a powerful CEO turned into a revelation of identity, strength, and purpose. Sophia proved that true power isn't in the luxury cars we drive or the titles we hold, but in the passion and kindness we share with the world. And though she stood in boardrooms, signed million-dollar contracts, and appeared on magazine covers, at heart, she was always that same young woman who found magic under the hood of an engine. Asterisk. Every morning, Sophia would wake up early, tie her hair back, slip into her old overalls, and step into her garage. For her, there was no better way to start the day than the sound of a purring engine, the smell of oil, and the thrill of fixing something thought to be beyond repair. Her journey inspired millions, and her legacy promised to echo for generations. Asterisk.